Hello everybody, we'll watch another very weird video. This one is, my name is Wolfe. This one is, how to beat high school, that's all I can say. God dang it again. Yeah, how to beat the high school something. This one's made by Cinema Summary again. Since the other one did so well, got over like almost 85 views on it, I think, and that one's amazing. So thank you guys for that for so much. And the freaking over cinema video over like 160 views on it. So thank you guys so much for that again. But this one, I really don't know. The other one wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, like creepy wise. Not about the freaking that Bob the Builder bull crap. That one was awful. Oh, it wasn't scary. It was scary and creepy at the exact same time. Ugh. But yeah, these are mostly just very messed up in some cases, but I like watching these. It teaches me something. So no further ado, let's go and get into this video. Starting in 3, 2, 1, play.
If you were forced to play a game to the death against your high school classmates and only one of you can survive, what would you do? In this video,
that's cheap. That's a cheap video effect.
One of you can survive. What
you can do better than that.
In this video,
you like $2 million to make this bull crap. I mean, come on. It's the person who's even edits videos. Yeah. I'm being a hypocrite, aren't I? Let's continue.
What you should do and how to beat the high school death game in the movie King's Game. This girl's
King's Game. Okay.
About to turn into a nightmare. Jimmy here is about
they
to go
always
to bed
do.
When she receives a strange
that
is about
phone.
To turn into a nightmare. Jimmy here is
that phone is a flip phone. I thought it was a DS for a second, like a DS. It's just bumpers, the flippy thing. Who's a flip phone nowadays? Actually, well, I can see, depending on their financial situation, I can see why they might have one. But judging from just her, her room. Well, it depends on this video. This something was made too, so who knows? Let's continue.
Life is about to turn into a nightmare. Jimmy here is about to go to bed when she receives a strange message forcing her to play something called the King's Game, but she doesn't know who it's from. Rule number 1 is no one's allowed to quit the game at any time. And rule number 2 is the players must obey the King's command within 24 hours or else they'll be punished. The first order is for a boy in her class to confess his love to his secret crush. She has no idea what order is for a boy in her class to confess his love to his secret crush. She has no idea what punish means, and the whole thing sounds like a dumb prank. The next day, all the students arrive at school.
Well, it isn't a high school, so pranks are very apparent. So they're like the high school, middle school age. I can see it. I can. But I would still be cautious, too. Number 1, how would that person have gotten your phone number if you don't know them? Could that happen? But, because usually people that have my phone number are just like, hey, do you want to freaking buy a car? I'm like, I'm not even 16 yet. Like, I'm not. I can't drive. I have driven before. It terrified me. It really did. But I'd still be very cautious about that. Like, let's continue though.
At school and pressure the boy to admit who he likes.
Peer pressure.
All the students arrive at school and pressure the
especially with boys in general. Peer pressure is very apparent, especially in high school too. I remember like my freaking like my old crushes thing in school. Do you like me? So I go yes or no. That's cringy now. Oh god, that's so cringy now. That's gross. Probably I'm sick now. God dang it, I freaking got sick again. There's allergies. Oh god, allergies get my butt. But yeah, I didn't have too many friends back then. Still don't have too many friends nowadays. But the ones I did have would I wouldn't say tease me, but would make fun of me whenever I said, hey, I like somebody, hey, I like somebody. But we're like 6, so, man. But let's continue, though.
For the boy to admit who he likes. Pushing him forward, the classmates watch as he asks this girl out on a date. He gets rejected and returns to his seat completely embarrassed.
I like how, yeah, you can do it, ha, you like someone, and then when they get rejected, like, it's okay, bro, it's okay. Like, it's how it always happens. It's like, even in the Loud House, that one episode where Ronnie Ann likes, or Lincoln likes, you know what I mean. I mean, like, in most shows, and even in real life, that's how it happens. Sheesh. It's like they want you to be rejected, which could actually make sense, but still. Let's continue again.
But all of a sudden, everyone gets a message on their phones from the king, confirming that the order was obeyed. They'll soon learn that somebody in this room is not who they think. And by the end of this game, they're all going to wish they were dead.
What's happening here?
It's not who they think. And by the end of...
His face looks weird, but that looks very suspicious. Most of them, at least these 4, 5, 6, maybe 7. These at least 6 people have their phones out. But these 2, at least, he does, but he's not on it. So neither she, but still, very sus. Very sus. Let's continue though.
End of this game, they're all going to wish they were dead.
Oh, okay. When you wish that you're dead, that's
going to become so high that
kind of bad
murdering
thing.
your classmates wouldn't even be the worst thing they could do by the time this game is over. They have no reason to think this is going to kill somebody, but at the very least, we should try a little harder to figure out who's sending these messages. The person who sent the message is disguising their identity, and it's in our interest to keep it a secret so that we can get in on the game to avoid being targeted. To figure out who this person is, I would send another text to the entire class from my phone posing as the king, making another order that people must follow. From the information we have, it's not against the rules, and whoever the real king is will probably look annoyed that we just pose as them. That way we can identify the king without the others knowing and help control the game.
Smart. Really smart. You turn the game into your own favor. My bad. They didn't actually get any of the rules. They didn't make actually correct rules, so, or make detailed rules enough, so, and they're high school students. They're teenagers. We always find loopholes in rules, like we always do. R/motion compliance. Bam. But it could backfire too, because they could say, hey, do this to such and such and such, and that could backfire a little bit, but who knows? Let's continue though.
Now, if they did this, they would quickly realize that the sender of these messages is not a student at all. And when they learn what will happen to them if they don't obey, they'll wish they took it a lot more seriously. That night, the girl receives a new message from the King's Game. The second order commands that students number 4 and 19 must kiss each other tomorrow, or else they will be punished. The next day at school, the girl who was given the order to kiss isn't bothered by it at all. Obeying the command, the girl approaches this boy and gives him a kiss on the lips. Everyone gets excited, but as she walks back to her seat, they all receive a message from the king that confirms the command was obeyed.
So he's at least in the room, or there's a camera in the room. Who knows, actually? Who really knows? Okay, I forgot my Minecraft's actually still on, huh? So let me turn that off real quick so I don't get copyright claimed. That might not be really good. Just kind of turn on my TV. And that is over. Now, I wasn't going on a tangent about something that happened to me during school, but I'll do it later. Let's continue.
If I'm looking for who the king is, nobody is more suspicious than this kid right here. If we all think that one
True.
of these students is controlling this game, it's not hard to imagine that the first thing they'll do is try and make out with the prettiest girl in the class, and no one will ever know that he was the one who made the
He
dare in the
has
first
a
place.
point. The most, especially when it comes to manipulation, the most innocent and laid back, or the most innocent and neutral people can become the most vicious and most dangerous people easily. You know, it all comes to either mind tricks or manipulation, which is still a version of mind tricks, but still, they can play people's emotions, just trying to avoid as much attention as possible to get the, well, in simple terms, get the heat off you, or more complex terms, which I usually do, get the overwhelming majority of people from staring at you constantly, or people figuring out that you're the killer, or in this person, the king of the game. So, I can understand why that would be very suspicious too, but they wouldn't recognize him since he's the nerdy person in the school, which I was too, probably still am, but, I can see his logic here, though. So let's continue. He's making a lot of sense to me, though, which actually is quite shocking.
In class with no teacher to supervise us, there's no limit to what we might do with ourselves given the right opportunities.
True.
The only problem is everyone has forgotten the second rule of the game. If you don't follow the orders, you will be punished, and nobody realizes that this game is going to get really twisted when the dares escalate. That night, the student gets another message for the next order.
Okay.
He finds out that the class
Hopefully
delinquent
censored.
must grope her chest, or else they will both be...
Okay, we are now getting into some very messed up bull crap. Okay, groping someone's chest. That is not a good thing. Not a good thing. Oh, this is not gonna be a one that I'm going to really, I'm not gonna sleep again tonight, alright. And what I actually mean by this, I actually mean that I can't sleep. That Boulder Builder bullcrap actually made it to where I cannot sleep, because I don't have blinds anymore. I don't. I live on the second floor of my house. All I see is darkness. So I look out the windows, all I might see back is something staring at me. I'd be like, well, I had a good one. But let's continue, though. But we're getting into some deep territory now, aren't we? Alright, let's continue.
Be punished.
Ah, my
She
ear.
plans to avoid the dare at all costs, but staying home will be the worst mistake of her life.
Yeah.
The next day at school, the boys are talking to the class delinquent, and they're all excited to watch.
Oh, the delinquent. Yeah, I know one of
This girl
those.
gets off the phone and tells them her friend doesn't want to be groped and is staying home. The guys are upset. That night, the students receive a message from the king saying that the orders have not been fulfilled, and as a punishment, the two students will be erased from existence. Suddenly, the fourth order comes in and...
When someone says you're going to be erased from existence, I start thinking about some Dragon Ball stuff. Hakai, but I would be a little bit queasy, a little bit freaked out. I would probably, if I was above age, like 18 or above, I would say, alright, bye, I'm leaving, I'm moving, like, I'm moving, I'm out, like that, like, just out, like, out. I cannot do that. I'm already paranoid as it is. I don't even look over my shoulder every 5 seconds, make sure no one's trying to kill me. Okay. I need to repair this thing. This thing is getting my freaking nerves now, isn't it? I keep seeing that freaking the tater's getting on my nerves. Alright, no further ado. Let's go ahead and just fucking take this.
And it says this nerdy student must have intercourse with this girl who already has a...
Okay, we're getting into some very deep stuff, aren't we? Oh, this is only the beginning of it's like the only 10 minutes of the video, I think. Not even that, probably, because I keep pausing so much. We're gonna be pausing this a lot, aren't we? Or I am, at least. Alright, let's continue.
boyfriend or else they'll both face the punishment. Chiemi calls her friend to find out more, but that's when she sees a class photo and suddenly realizes her two classmates disappear from a photo on her wall.
Okay, we're getting some freaking dark magic bull crap, aren't we? If you make... Okay, now that idea that he had at the beginning of the game will kind of, not work. Because he wants to, he could just say, okay, since you all know who I am, Thanos snap. That's all it take. And they all cease to exist. Just like that. This is not going to be a good one. It is a good one, but it's going to be one that's I'm going to enjoy. I really don't know what's happening at this point. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. But, it's going to be a very dark one, isn't it? It probably is. So let's continue, though. I'm liking it so far, though, so...
The consequences are real, and
very
if they fail to
suspenseful.
obey the commands, any record of their existence will be wiped off the face of the earth. Okay, that's
No!
true now, and
My 14 hours of gameplay in Minecraft! Gone! I have no social life. Man, and out of, what, 4 times 8 minus 1 equals 24. No. 3 times 8 equals 30. 24 plus 8 equals 32 minus 1 equals 31. So 31 out of that equals minus 2 equals 29. So they have 29 people left. Wow. This and we'll say that like for every single day, two people get erased from existence. We'll just do that. So 29 divided by 2. Can't really do that. Well, you can. I need to do math real quick. 28. So be 14.5. Yeah. So it'll be at least 14. So it'll probably be at most 15 days, at least 14 days. That would take for eventually all of them to be murdered or erased from existence. So, yeah. This is not going to be really good, is it? Let's continue, though.
And 29 more students to go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, oh, really? Wow, forget, man.
In your bedroom turns this into a supernatural scenario. And that's not something I want to be a part of, no matter how many girls I might get to
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, I'm out, yeah.
It's a surefire way of getting yourself...
Oh, God, I like it. Oh, I have goosebumps now. Oh, God, I really do. Oh, bad. Oh, no, bad.
Or cursed. We know we'll have to obey every order from the king, no matter how horrible it is, in order to survive and win this game.
Yeah, but you also gotta understand, most people do have morals that they do stand by. So for people to actually, I don't know, murder somebody, then it could lead to some very bad, well, it could at least, at least have them hesitating enough would probably get them to cease to exist, and the person that was about to be killed cease to exist as well. So, I can see his reasoning there, but I mean, like me personally, I'll probably like to be the first one to be erased, if I'm honest, because I can't kill somebody. I can't. Number 1, they'd probably kill me. Number 2, I don't have a number 2. That's pretty much it. That's probably it. I have no self-confidence at all, do I? Let's continue the video before I start crying. Alright, let's continue.
Keep a cool head and be prepared to do whatever it takes when things get a lot worse. But if we're going to stay calm throughout this game, there's one thing
I can see his reasoning, so...
Wet socks. Vessi are 100% waterproof.
Oh, you sly ad person. Oh, he did another great ad. Actually, that's actually very good. Actually, I want this, actually.
Socks. And with Vessi's, you don't have to. These sneakers make rain and wet weather fun again.
Okay, I want some of these actually now. Okay, this is actually awesome.
Feel great, and they're super easy to clean. I've had my Vessies for a little while now, and after wearing these waterproof sneakers, there's no way I'm going back to boots. They are a truly everyday sneaker that you can wear in any situation or weather condition with one less thing to worry about. And even better, they are also sustainably made with no animal byproducts from a material called Dymatex, which is a dual climate knit that keeps you cool in the summer and warm in the winter.
Okay, I want some of these. I want some of these. These are awesome.
My go-to shoes by my door. Check them out in the link below and use my code HowToBeat to get $25 off.
These are amazing, actually. How much do they cost? Actually, $25 off. Jeez.
Now, if people's entire existences are being erased,
yeah,
might be dealing with the supernatural.
Okay, so I want something actually I find really scary. Where do you go when you just cease to exist? Do you just not exist? Consciousness is confusing, really. So is I forgot what it's called. God dang it, I forgot what it's called. Self-awareness, I think. I don't really know. But I'm in a brain room right now. I cannot find this one word. Oh man, I freaking forgot it. So it starts with an S, and it means that we actually think for ourselves. I can't think of it. I really can't. Alright, but I wonder what happens that when we erase. It would just like go into like a third person view, or are we just like this ghost? Like, are we just a ghost? Like, we just dead? Or do we actually cease to exist? Like, we were never born in the first place. Really cool stuff to think about, but really scary stuff too. So let's continue.
So we need to cover our bases and confirm that this isn't a prank and doesn't have a natural explanation.
That's actually really good CGI for that time,
though. Call the two erased students to see if they answered their phones. If they don't, then we need to contact the rest of the class and ask them all to check their yearbooks for any record of their existence. This is the quickest way to figure out if the punishment
really smart too, so
because reprinting everyone's yearbook without those two students in them is way too elaborate to be a prank. And if their pictures are missing in everyone's copy, then it confirms that we have a perfectly logical reason to freak the
yeah.
And so far the king has made orders that sound way too much like it was created by an immature and opportunistic student. So the most logical
true, I can see that too.
Is that one of the kids in our class is a ghost in disguise. This is horrifying, but it might actually be a blessing because ghosts have patterns of behavior that are easier to identify. Ghosts tend to haunt the place of their death and stay the age that they died.
No. Just no. No. Just no. Freaking two girl thing. That's like the one most iconic ghost scene in almost every single movie. I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to either going down that way, shoving you guys to the side, or one of us is gonna be. I really don't know. I'd be like, okay, just gonna back away real quick. Or probably run at them. I'm dumb like that most times, so yeah. Well, let's continue.
So with this in mind, I would check the school records and local news archives.
I can't do crawling things, though. Crawling things can terrify me. Things crawling at me, I'm like, no, I'm
any student that may have met a tragic end here, we might be surprised to discover it's an identical match to someone in our class.
Interesting.
The next thing I would do is check all of these students' home addresses to make sure that no one happens to be living in an abandoned house. If we can figure out who the king is this way, then we might be able to figure out why.
Was that from it or from the Monster House? I can't tell. The Monster House is
all
realistic.
These students' home addresses to make sure that no one happens.
It's from it, I think. I could be wrong though, so tell me in the comments if that's from it. I really don't know.
To be living in an abandoned or empty house. If we can figure out who the king is this way, then we might be able to figure out why the ghost wants us to play this game. If it's linked to their cause of death, they might have some unfinished business and be looking for revenge on someone else in the class. And following this video
that makes
is going
sense,
to get us a lot closer to the answers than we were before. The next day, the class discovers that not only are the two students missing, but their desks are completely gone as well. This girl on the right notices that even the phone number of her friend has been deleted, and everyone is terrified as they realize exactly what happens if they don't follow orders. Their teacher enters
So
the
it
room
actually is a
telling them
Thanos
all
stunt,
to
but
sit
worse.
down, and the girl with the glasses asks about their missing
Why do I
classmates,
keep
but
doing
the
that?
woman insists there are no absent students. She doesn't notice that there are 2 empty spaces where desks should be, and the students can't believe what they're doing.
So only the students know. Which makes it even more terrifying. Only them know that they're gone. Just wow. Like, wow. That is a lot of pressure. A lot. I'd probably break down that situation. Like, legit. Like, I'd be like, I can't take this. Like, legit, I could not take that. Like, being one of the only people, like 1 out of 29 people that know that 2 people just cease to exist completely. Like, out of all databanks, out of everything, every single thing, they're just gone. I couldn't take it. And let's see how they can take it.
Later that day, the friend of the girl who stayed home calls the girl's mother to reach her, but the mother claims she doesn't have a daughter. The friend can't understand why the adults have no memory of the missing students, but her classmate points out that any information about them no longer exists when they get erased, and only the students playing the death game know what is going on. The girl with the boyfriend, Amiski here, realizes she will be erased too if she doesn't have sex with the nerdy student, but her boyfriend gets angry. He threatens the kid not to touch his girlfriend, but if he wants her to survive, there's only one way to save her life. Okay, it normally doesn't work when I tell someone that they need to sleep with me in order to save the world.
Okay, that's actually really good. That's really good, actually. I find that funny for some weird reason. But let's continue, though. I'm gonna see what point he makes.
The one time it might actually
it really is.
The student is actually between a rock and a hard place, because if he doesn't sleep with this girl, he'll be erased. But if he does, he'll be murdered by the boyfriend.
True.
If you ask me, I don't want to make anyone cheat on their partners, but I'm definitely putting my own survival over someone else's relationship here.
Fair point.
I'm willing to do it if she is, and that we can make it as short as necessary just to fulfill the order. But there's also one more thing to consider here. Because if the king is able to confirm that we obeyed, then he would have to be there when it happens. That sounds to me like...
Just watching people have sex, that's really, really gross in my opinion, actually. Now I think about that, actually. Actually, yeah, That's... Okay, that's actually... okay, let's continue, though.
Like, it would be a perfect trap to set, because we can count on the king to be watching somehow. If it were me, I would turn this into an anti-sex tape, and fill the room full of cameras that are pointed away from all the action. If the king shows up to confirm that he followed orders, then we can catch him spying with video evidence of who it is. The boyfriend would still be rightfully angry. But we could point out that we used the opportunity to save everyone else's lives, including his, by catching the king. If it wasn't enough, I think it's only fair to offer...
But he also has at least enough power to erase you guys from existence. So if he wants to, he could just, like I said before, Thanos stamp you from existence and no one would know. So I do see the logic in this plan, but if you guys do capture him, how are you going to contain him? And what would you do to him? The police wouldn't do anything against him because they have no evidence that he killed the people that don't exist. So, not very much you can do to the guy that can really erase from existence. Unless it's only from a certain amount of time the spell has to work. Or he has no actual physical toughness, I can say, I guess. Like, actual muscle, like, magic actually enhances his physical capabilities, like how magical can, well, most games it can, at least. But if that's how it is, I can see how you probably can restrain him, at least keep him away from the spell stuff. So, I can see that. I can see that. Let's continue. I can see it.
To my face and let bygones be bygones. After school, the main character, Chiemi, is hanging out with her friend Nobu when he gets a notification on his phone and finds out that today's order has been carried out. That means their classmates got busy in order to survive.
That's one way to put it.
Is going to be absolutely furious.
Yeah.
They start feeling bad for him, but that's when they receive another message. Order number 5 says the boyfriend will now become the king of the game for 1 day, and
the amount of power he has over everybody at that point. He has near infinite capability against somebody at that point. At least the point where they reach from existence. So he can legitimately just say, huh, do this. And they have to do it or else they'll be reached from existence. At least, I'll say that he has a 1 rule a day thing. That's it, probably. So, but still, the amount of power he has access to right now. Let's see what he does with that. I'm guessing he's probably going to kill the nerdy guy.
Everyone must obey whatever command he decides. The next day, the students are walking to school together when the nerdy kid calls them into a nearby alley. He's terrified that he's going to get beaten up.
He probably is.
The boyfriend has cooled down, and they agree to help. As they arrive, the boyfriend here slaps his cheating girlfriend in front of everyone. The other students defend the girl, saying she was just trying to save her own life, but he ignores them and commands his classmate to die on the spot.
Okay, I can understand cheating like a very serious thing, but me personally, which I probably won't date ever, probably, because I just can't deal with the stress, but me personally, if someone cheated on me, I'd be like, I'd do the entire speech, like, how could you do this? How could you do this to me? Such. But I would never, ever hit a woman. Never. Now, I wouldn't say that personally, but if they hit me first, then I might defend myself, and that's how that probably works. Like, everyone probably can see that. Like how a woman will protect themselves when a man hits them, which I totally agree with. If anything, it's hilarious. See, a fully grown man get whacked by a freaking 14-year, a fully grown man get hit by a 5'5" woman. That's hilarious. It's really funny in my opinion. But other than that, I probably raise my voice a little bit, but probably nothing else than that. Nothing else really. But I can see his, almost saying logic, but his feelings behind it. But in my opinion, it's still wrong. It really is. Like, really, in my opinion. But, who knows? Alright, let's go and continue the video.
Suddenly, the nerdy kid stumbles out of the alley and collapses to the ground. These adults check to see if he's okay, but their memories are suddenly erased and they walk away. The kid no longer exists, and the rest of the class is notified that the king's orders have been carried out. The boy's desk vanishes right in front of their eyes, and no one can believe what just happened. Chiemi here is horrified as the class photo loses another student, and now 3 are dead with 28 left to go.
Hey, my birthday day. That's actually really weird to think about, huh? Let's continue though.
Okay, I completely understand. And if the nerdy student slept with my girlfriend like this, I would want him dead too. But there's one problem.
Man, I can see that. I can see it. So, I probably feel the exact same way. True, I can see that. Let's continue.
His status as king is only going to last long enough to make one single order, after which he won't be king any longer.
Okay, so it's like one. Okay. That's a lot more reasonable, in my opinion.
Now it's going to be hard for him to make a rational decision because he's overrun with anger and embarrassment. But there's actually a solution here that might save his life. Since there were no terms that clarified when the game would end, it most likely means that there can only be one winner. So if he wanted to stay vengeful as king, I would declare myself the winner and give the order to the entire class to die. It might sound cold-blooded.
It is cold-blooded, but It will work. It could work. Okay. His logic in there is really sound and it really makes a lot of sense. That's actually really smart. I did not think about that. I thought about it for a second. I'm like, no, that couldn't work. But, wow, that's actually really, really, really smart, actually. Huh, okay, let's continue.
And that's because it is.
Yeah.
There can only be one winner out of 31 students. We only have a 3% chance of surviving
True.
this death game. I want to live more than I want to keep my classmates, and we can find a better.
Yeah, but that survivor's guilt stuff will be very strong. Very strong. Also, he would have to race his girlfriend, but she did cheat on him, so it depends on how his emotionally attached to her he is. Yada yada. But still, the survivor's guilt will be very apparent. Be very strong with them too. And he probably couldn't get treatment for it because he'd say, yeah, kind of sort of just made my entire class erased from existence by some person. And they'll probably look at him like, yeah, he's insane. So, the logic behind that is sound, but the aftermath will probably be a little bit devastating to it, especially for his life. So let's continue though. Oh, so it'd be kind of weird going to class when the teacher comes to class and only sees one student, like, stop. Just, you're doing my work. Oh, that'd be very weird. Being in a 1-to-1 ratio as students. Also, meaning your teachers out of school is weird, too. Ugh, that's actually really weird now I think about that. Because you're used to them actually just seeing them in a freaking just in an actual school environment. They forget that they actually have an outside life most times, too, so... But I usually actually make friends with my teachers, which has mixed results, so who knows. Let's continue them.
No, this is possible because there were no rules stated for what happens if you become king, but it's definitely worth a try. If there wasn't a way to win the game with a single order, the next best thing is to use your power to find the original king and kill him. I would do this by making an order for a single student to touch the original king. The player would then have to touch every student, and once the king was touched, we would get text messages saying that the objective was accomplished. Once you've identified him, you might be able to kill him and escape this death game once and for all. Later that day, the class discusses if they should tell the police about what's happening, but
they won't remember anything. They won't. It would just be a bunch of nonsense. That person would have never existed in the first place. They wouldn't. I can see the logic in going to the police, but the police, even though they are usually great help in this scenario, especially with stuff like this, they are practically no help when people are disappearing from existence. Actually, no one's really any help then. Well, sort of know people are helped by then. But I can see it. So let's continue though.
Kate points out that their story is so unbelievable
that
no one would help. They ask if this is the work of a ghost, but that's when the main character's friend, Nobu, stands up. He points out that the king is trying to get them to turn on each other, and that whatever the next command is, they should work together to survive. After class, the quiet
when people are scared or angry, they make very, very irrational decisions. Me personally, I've done a lot of times when I either got an argument with my parents or argument with my siblings. So I got into a lot of either trouble with that one or a lot of backlash on my part. So when your friend are disappearing and you don't know how to freaking solve it, then you're either going to be very scared or get very emotional because you can't really do anything about it. So, yeah, let's continue that.
Approaches Nobu and invites him to talk, revealing that she has a theory about the game. He joins her in the library, and she tells him that she thinks one of the students doesn't know that they are the king. As crazy as that sounds, she's very close to figuring out the truth. The next day, the classes...
They don't know that they're the king. So the king has no idea they're the king. So it actually could be actually a spirit or a ghost that's actually just making all this happen. Interesting. It's actually really, it goes into real big depth. I don't need medicine. Whoever that is. I don't need that. Let's continue though.
Class is ordered to hold a popularity contest between two students.
What?
Next day, the class is ordered to hold a popularity contest.
Oh, how popular your class.
One male candidate and one female candidate. They're all horrified that they have to choose which of their friends must die, but Good Guy Noble here has a solution. Realizing that there's an even number of students left, he suggests that they vote for each candidate equally, so it will end with a tie. Since it doesn't break the rules, the plan should work. All the students put their votes inside of this box, and the results are counted. But when Glasses Girl reads out the last name, they're all shocked that one more person voted for the boy to live. That's when everyone's phones go off, telling them that they've chosen the girl to be erased from existence. Okay, to me, this is the scariest order they've gotten so far.
True.
Your fate is entirely in everyone else's hands.
Yeah.
You have to trust that people actually like you enough to keep you alive.
Yeah, I'd probably be the one that's probably going to be erased.
But instead,
I'm very antisocial most times. Actually, really antisocial, actually. I don't think about that, actually really sad. I do have friends, though. Sort of. But, actually, it's really terrifying because you have to just trust. You have to, because their life is in your hands. It's in your hands. If they don't like you, your life is just gone. You're just gone. Let's continue though.
Voted to kill the other player, and that's really cold-blooded. But it also offers a great opportunity here. Right now, it's impossible to get help because all evidence of these students are completely erased, and nobody remembers who they are. But if we have some way to prove this is happening to us, then we might be able to solve this problem. Since we know the female candidate is about to be erased, we need to use it to our advantage and record the event. I would try to video record her disappearing, but first make her interact with the
Is that from Marvel? Is that from Endgame? Infinity Wars? I actually haven't seen that. And actually haven't seen that movie yet. I've seen like clips of it. But is that from Endgame? Interesting. I don't know actually. I don't know what Marvel movie that's from. So it's continue though. Interesting.
If she kicks over a chair, opens a window, or picks something up to throw, and then gets erased, the video might look like it was all being done by a ghost, because the loser of the vote will be erased from existence.
True.
This gives us proof to take to someone outside the game, and they might take her claim seriously enough to help us. Now, it's possible people might think it's just visual effects, and they won't be impressed.
Yeah, that could also be that. What was that? I just saw my screen.
If the female candidate managed to kill a teacher before she gets erased,
I don't want to know that was
the murder, they would have no way of explaining a video that shows a teacher being stabbed and killed by nobody. We can blame this ghost for a crime he didn't commit, and when people see the video and the teacher's dead body, they'll have no choice but to get the police involved.
True.
And take their claims seriously.
True.
The loser of the vote here doesn't want to disappear and starts freaking out. Trying to escape a punishment worse than death, she runs to the window and quits her life in order to quit the game. Suddenly, everyone gets a message from the king, who has decided to punish another student in the dead girl's place. The new student is ordered to confess her sin, and this girl here reveals that she was the deciding vote in the popularity contest. Ashamed, she runs out of the room and the group receives another message. The king reveals that the girl didn't confess the right sin and has just been erased. When they check outside, they realize that the female candidate who lost the vote has disappeared too, and that makes it 5 down with 26 students left.
Wow.
After school, the main character Chiemi meets
so they actually erase the spirit too, or just
and finds out there have been other classes that have gone missing in the past. The girl shows her an old photo and points out a student that looks exactly like her close friend Nobu. She reveals that every time a class went missing, he was there. The girl can't believe it because she's known him since they were kids, but the quiet girl here explains that the king can change people's memories and implant fake ones.
Interesting,
this
actually.
girl's theory about the king is a serious problem.
Yeah.
Because if he can implant false memories, then nobody in the class can trust what's real. And that is a terrifying revelation.
Yeah.
If we can't rely on what we remember, then we need to bring other people into this game to help us figure out what's objectively true and what isn't. Now, if someone disappears, nobody outside of the game will remember them. But the one thing that doesn't seem to disappear are these text messages.
True.
Mom, course we are.
But why can't I speak Mandarin?
I'm confused.
This is the only remaining evidence that these missing students ever existed, and we
True.
can use this
Also that-
information against the king to escape the game. I would bring a teacher into the room to witness an order being fulfilled, because even if they don't realize students are disappearing, they can still read the messages every time the king sends a new order.
Yeah.
They will also notice that we all receive these messages at the same time from an anonymous source. Now, this might
That's
not
only
be
half.
enough
Can't
to
you add
convince
group
the
chats
king,
and
but
flip
there's a
phones?
huge giveaway here, because each text associates the student's name with their attendance number, and when
Huh.
they disappear, their number disappears with them. Eventually, you have someone with a number like 31 in a class of 5 people, and the teacher won't be able to explain why there are significant gaps in the numbering of this class.
Yeah,
it might be
that
enough to
actually makes a lot
convince
of
the teacher
sense.
that it's not just a mistake, and to look for a way to find the king from outside the game and help us escape. We could check other classes in the school records to find any other gaps in the student numbers. We might even find a graduating class with only a single student, and we'll know that student was the winner of a previous King's game.
True.
We can then track them down and ask for advice on how
So this
they
actually
beat
be a
the
multiple
game and
multiple
what orders
class
to
thing, like
expect in the
once
next
every
rounds
few
to
years
make sure
maybe.
we're prepared to
This
be the last
happens.
survivor standing. The next day, the students prepare for the 7th order. They all must take turns drawing 1 to 3 pens from the box, and the last person to take
We're gonna be here forever, aren't we? Because I
when
keep
this
pausing
bully
it.
here approaches the box, he finds only 3 left, and realizes that depending on how many pens he takes, one of the next 2 students will die. Deciding to give them a choice, he turns around to ask them what he should do. If he takes 1 pen, then Nobu can take 1, and this student will be erased. But if he takes 2, then Nobu will be erased instead. The main character, Chiami here, tries to intervene, but the boy starts getting power hungry. He offers to let her choose who to save if she strips in front of everyone. The girl starts taking off her clothes, but Nobu here stops her before it goes too far. The bully takes the pens inside the box, but when the other student approaches to take the last one, he finds it empty. Suddenly, everyone receives a new message confirming that the bully here will be erased. He took the remaining pens and sacrificed himself. Leaving the classroom behind, he becomes the 6th person to be erased, with 25 students remaining. Okay, there are 2 loopholes that we can exploit here to make sure
What
we
did
beat
he-
this game. First of
Was
all,
okay? So
taking
was the
this
person
pen-
that was being power hungry die, or the other person die? I'm confused. I think the bully died. So okay, I can see that. Okay.
one at a time in an orderly fashion was not a rule the king gave them, but something the students did on their own. If I were one of the last 2 students to pick
These
up a
actors
pen,
actually really
all I
good,
would
though,
need to
so the
do
actors
is
are really
simply
good.
run up and grab 2 pens before the bully even gets a chance to decide how many he will take. This will make him the last player to pick up a pen, and he'll get erased. It's the perfect payback, because he spent all of his time making
Monologuing,
for their
yeah.
lives,
Most villains
and
do
that's
it.
not the kind of person that deserves to be remembered. Now, there's also one more trick we can do here. This challenge is very similar to an ancient Chinese game called Nim, or Jian Shizi, where players have to select pebbles or matchsticks and not be led to the last one. It was so famous that it also inspired someone to turn it into one of the first computer games ever built in 1940, called Nimatron, and almost nobody could beat it. A way
Wow,
that old
okay.
Chinese con artists have cheated this game is by sneaking in an extra piece without their opponents knowing, so they won't lose. Since it was never
Interesting,
stated whether or not
actually.
pens could be put back into the box once they were removed, we could use the same tactics as the ancient con men by stealing a pen from someone who's already taken one, and when it's our turn, we slip it into the box as we take another out. This way, even if this guy takes 3, there will be 1 left in the box, and it forces someone else to be last instead of us. After class, these 2
Okay.
girls are waiting outside the school and tell their classmates that they have a clever plan to escape the game. The other students are interested, and nobody realizes that it's going to get them all erased.
Oh, this is not good, is it?
And asks her about these pictures hanging on the wall. She tells them that they're photos of her mom's hometown, but has no idea these are a major clue to the origins of this death game.
Huh.
Suddenly, they're interrupted by a message revealing that 17 students have broken the rules, and as punishment, they'll be erased from existence. Nobu calls us
17 out of what, 26 now? So be 9 left. 9. 17, just like that, just gone. Wow. Let's continue though, but
right,
sheesh.
and finds out that their classmates have blocked the messages from the King's game, but that was against rule number 1, which states that quitting the game at any time isn't allowed. Chiami here checks the class photo and is horrified to see there's only 8 players left standing. That's when they get their next order.
Wow.
The king commands that student number 16 must send a message to 2 people in her class reading die, and they will be erased from existence. Okay, this one stunt just wiped 17 people off the face of the earth, and that's horrifying. But it's also the best news we've gotten since this death game began. Not only are there 17 less competitors, but we also have a gift wrap strategy here to eliminate as many students as we can without needing a single order to do it. If this many people can be tricked into breaking the rules, then I would exploit this by lying to the remaining students that someone in our classroom is the king, and we can figure out who that is if we go through the send messages of everyone's inboxes. This excuse gives them hope that we can...
And blocking the king to pretty much make it to where... That's very manipulative and very deviative, too. I like this guy, actually. Interesting. He's actually... I like this guy especially because he makes really good points. You know, some of them will be eventually disproven, especially some of the earlier ones. Before we go into the video, he still actually makes better points more later on in the video that still add on to these points at the beginning. So he is really makes it in the depth, didn't he? Actually, it's really cool. So let's continue. Actually,
we can finally end this game, and they'll be willing to hand over all their phones to figure out who the king is once and for all. Then I would take their phones along with their trust and break them both. From this point on, they won't be able to read the orders from the king, and after 24 hours, I'll be the only student that ever existed.
Wow.
And that's because it is, but in a death game, I don't give a crap about good sportsmanship. I am about surviving. These are not our friends anymore. They're our competitors, and if we don't start looking at the situation to win it all, then nobody will remember you existed. The next day, we arrive to class and find only 8 desks left, and the students are horrified at how many classmates just disappeared in a single night. The teacher walks in and asks if there are any absent students, but that's when Glasses Girl here reaches her breaking point. She tells the teacher that all of her friends are being erased, and the woman tells Chiyomi to take her to the nurse's office. In the hallway, the girl insists she's feeling better and excuses herself to the bathroom, but letting her go was a huge mistake. She sits down in one of the stalls and decides she's going to quit the game the old-fashioned way. Her friend walks in to check on her, but when she sees a pool of blood spill out from under the door, she realizes what's happened. That's now 24 students down and 7 to go.
The guilt, survivor's guilt.
That the girl has disappeared, and the
it really does a lot. It really mess people up. It really can. I've seen it personally. Well, not personally, but I've seen the aftermath of it sometimes.
They have 24 hours to come up with a plan to survive before they need to obey. Okay, if I was Nobuaki, I would make them all offer me reasons not to choose their names. Whoever offers me the most incentive not to kill them is exactly who I would kill. Whoever is going to offer the most is willing to do anything and say anything to stay alive. And whoever decides to stand up to me is more interested in their principles and morals. Now, if we've already started to suspect that there can only be one winner in the game, it all comes down to who you want to be your last competitors. If your last remaining competition is people who will do whatever it takes to survive, you're going to have a harder time winning. People who are more interested in their principles are going to be more hesitant to do terrible things.
That's probably me, actually. It's really
this game is all about obeying horrible orders, and we need people who have enough moral fiber to stay alive because they will make for easier competition when the game escalates in the last stages. After school, 4 of the students go to Yonaki Village. One of them found a strange newspaper clipping that mentioned an entire class had gone missing, and it's their only lead to find out what's going on. They arrive at the campus of an abandoned school, and Nobu feels like he's seen this place before, but the boy doesn't realize that he's walking right into a trap. Back in the nurse's office, the quiet girl tells Chiyomi that the other students are at a deserted school in another town, and shows her an old newspaper clipping about students vanishing. This school is the oldest incident of a class going missing that they could find on record, which means it could be the origin of the King's Game. But the quiet girl suspects
that would make sense, but it's different schools, that's my opinion. You can't just switch different schools.
A strange letter about the King's Game. He's so distracted reading it that he doesn't see his classmates sneak behind him, and he gets knocked unconscious. When he wakes up, Nobu discovers he's been tied up by his classmates, and they show him an old photo that looks like him as proof. Convinced that he's the king controlling the game, they tell him that if the players kill him, then they might be set free. Feeling around for something to cut him loose, Nobu here finds a pair of scissors and picks it up when his phone suddenly starts to ring. His classmate takes it and ends the call, and no one will be coming to save him. Okay, we don't have enough time to slice through these ropes before we're killed, and we're too far away for
True.
anyone to hear our cries for help. All we have to rely on is the photo they've just shown us and our classmates' beliefs that we're somehow immortal. They're dead set on killing us to end the game.
Yeah, I can see the
logic
logic behind this, though.
Confess that I am the king, but this also means that I make the rules, and that there is a secret third rule that wasn't mentioned. Whoever discovers the king is excused from rules 1 and 2.
Okay, that would be really smart. It really would. I mean, the moral is just throw it out the window, but still. Mean that if they think that you're the king of the game, you could just say, hey, there's a secret third rule. Whoever discovers the king does not have to do the rules rule numbers 1 and 2. That would mean that if you aren't the king, they'd still be erased. It would mean that 3 people are done, and it's just 6 people left, and you can just go on your merry way. But if he actually was a king, and that actually was a rule, then that would actually be, that actually be a really good thing to get out of there. So, let's continue though. This video's actually getting almost an hour long.
Without consequence. They might be skeptical, but I can point them to the picture again as proof that I'm the king without a doubt. They don't know that this picture has been planted by the game to turn people against each other. So
true. That would make sense, actually.
Once they're convinced, I would remind them that as the king, I control every aspect of the game, including the supernatural ability to erase people from existence. If they try to kill me, they will get punished immediately, and that's not a risk they would be willing to take. Now, if I were them, I would take
True, he does have a point there.
Because if Nobu is the king, then we want to accept the deal and quit the game. But if he isn't the king, then all they need to do is take away his phone so he can't send 3 death messages. The logical solution here is to release him because they're already convinced they've captured the king. Then they might be stupid enough to accept the king's deal and declare they quit the game and get erased for breaking the rules. In the nurse's office, Nobu's best friend here is trying to call him to find out if he's okay. But when the call is rejected, he knows his friend is in trouble. Thinking quickly, he runs over to the computer and the quiet girl gives him a clever idea. The classmates prepare to execute the student, but they're erased at the last moment. He cuts himself out of his restraints and checks his phone.
Why are they erased?
Discovering the king's orders have been fulfilled. His best friend here logged into Nobu's email according to the quiet girl's suggestion, and they sent the death messages on his behalf to obey the command and save their friend's life.
Okay, smart.
Discovers it's the same photo that he saw in Chiemi's house. There's a connection between Chiemi and his death game, but he isn't sure what. Suddenly, his phone rings, and it tells him that because the king's orders were carried out on his behalf, his friends will now be erased for breaking the rules. That makes 29 dead and 2 players left standing. Later that night, Nobu calls Chiemi and tells her to meet him at school, but the girl has no idea that he's going to try and kill her. She finds him sitting alone at his desk, and the kid has finally figured out the secret to this game. He shows her the picture he found and explains there was one survivor from the King's Game at the abandoned school a long time ago, and that winner was Chiemi. She was supposed to become the king after winning the game, but refused and was cursed to be stuck in this death game forever, and her memories are erased every time it happens. Okay, this girl is the only surviving winner of this death game. It has been cursed to become ageless, which means that she will never die from the death games that she's forced to play. Now, there's one obvious thing she can do to avoid ever getting herself into a death game in the first place, and that's to stop going to f***ing school.
He has a valid point there. A very valid point there. Let's continue though. Most of these always do end very sad endings though, or very bad endings though. So let's see how this one ends.
Parents and relatives must be dead, and nobody is forcing this girl to do anything, so there's no reason to go. She can enjoy her life and use her immortality like it's a superpower, as long as we don't ever become a part of a large group in the King's Game to activate.
Immortality is a very cool power, but it's also very, very, very sad. You cannot get emotionally attached to anybody at all, because for your lifespan at least, that's been like 10,000 years maybe. Well, depending on how long you are. For your lifespan, I know you could be living for 100 million years. Think about them like that. So, immortality is not all it lives up to be, in my opinion. It's really not. So let's continue though.
Here is that her memory is erased, but this can be fixed with a simple tattoo that says "School's out forever." So even if she doesn't remember getting it, she should have every reason she needs to stay away for good. Chiyomi here runs out of the classroom and tries to escape her friend Nobu, but he cuts her off, demanding to know the truth about her past. She pushes him to the floor and grabs his scissors, realizing that killing him is the only way out of here. Nobu's family is sitting down for dinner, but they notice there's one extra plate, and Nobu's existence has been erased from the family's memory forever. That's 30 down, and Chiyomi is the winner once again. Going back to the now empty classroom, she receives a message that she's won the game, and the curse will continue forever. But the girl has had enough. Approaching the window, she throws herself out, and the last desk is erased from existence. Half a year later, a girl has transferred to a new school and introduces herself to her new classmates. That's when the student next to her turns around, and it's Chiyomi. The curse has kept her alive with no memory of her old class, and she still hasn't passed the 10th grade. But what do you think? How would you be?
The curse continues. Even if she tried to kill herself, it wouldn't work. It can't work. She's in a loop indefinitely. Well, I mean indefinitely. A time loop is horrible. Horrible, because you can never escape it. You can never escape it. You never can. You never can. I would probably choose to become the king, in my opinion. I know I'll probably forget about the time loop eventually, and probably just continue doing that. But if I didn't, that would be awful. It really would, depending on how long a time loop is. So, who knows? Well, let's go in. This videos are getting longer than I thought it was. About an hour or more minute long, I'm guessing. Yeah, I can see the timer right now. So, without further ado, let's get in the video. If you guys want more videos like this one, especially longer videos like this one, just tell me down in the comments down below, and I'll go record more of these. Though, these probably be every other day, every few days, because how long they are. And I don't know about you, but sitting down in this chair, especially for almost an hour, or pretty much an hour straight, really hurts. It really hurts. So, without further ado, I'll see you in the next video. See you guys then. Bye.